The truth no one tells you from childhood, we were trained with a dangerous lie. A lie that says if you want to be good, you must always say yes. If you want to be spiritual, you must always give. If you want to be loved, you must always help. But let me break it to you. That belief is the very reason you feel exhausted, used, betrayed, and empty. Because the brutal truth is this: not everyone deserves your help. Some people you help will rise, they'll grow, they'll transform. But others, they will drain you dry, destroy your peace, and laugh while doing it. Alan Watts once said something brutally honest. Trying to help everyone is not love, it's interference with life's lessons. And that's what most people never realize. Your kindness can become your greatest weakness. Your compassion can become your prison. So today I'm going to reveal the 6 most dangerous types of people you must never help. Not because you're heartless, but because helping them will only destroy you. Stay with me till the very end, because once you learn to recognize these people, your entire life will shift. Your mind, your peace, and your future will be protected forever. Chapter 1. The chronically lazy. There's a brutal difference between a person who is struggling and a person who has completely surrendered to weakness. The struggler may fall, but every time you extend a hand, they use your support as a stepping stone. They climb, they rise, they value your help because they are already fighting for themselves. But the chronically lazy? They are not climbing. They are lying in a hammock of excuses, waiting for you to carry them. And here's the bitter truth. The more you carry them, the weaker they become. You are not helping them. You are becoming their crutch, their permanent support system, their escape from responsibility. Look around at nature, and you'll see a lesson written in silence. A tree will not keep nourishing a branch that refuses to bear fruit. A bird will not keep feeding a chick that refuses to open its mouth. In nature, life is brutal but wise. It understands something we humans often forget. Constant feeding of laziness doesn't create life, it breeds decay. Yet we humans feel guilty when we stop helping the lazy, as if withholding endless support is cruelty. But in reality, survival itself teaches us that sustaining the unproductive endlessly isn't kindness. It's foolishness. The lazy person is an artist of excuses. They will paint you stories of their bad luck, their unfair past, or the world being against them. And yes, sometimes their stories are true. But here's the real question you must ask. What are they doing about it right now? Are they taking steps, however small, to change their reality? Or are they simply waiting for you or someone else to come and fix it for them? Because if their entire strategy for survival is waiting for rescue, then every time you help, you're not saving them. You're digging them deeper into their pit of helplessness. When you continue to carry someone who has no desire to walk, you are robbing them of the very thing that could transform them, the satisfaction of achievement. Struggle is not a curse. It is the weightlifting of the soul. It builds resilience. It forges character. It proves to the individual that they are capable. But when you strip someone of their struggles, you also strip them of their chance to grow. Your kindness, disguised as help, can turn into the very chain that keeps them from becoming strong. And one day you realize you've raised not a friend, but a dependent. Some of you watching this have been carrying people for years. You've paid their bills, solved their problems, cleaned up their messes, and stood in front of consequences that were meant to be theirs. And every time you told yourself, I'm being kind, I'm doing the right thing. But ask yourself, has your kindness ever made them stronger? Or has it only made them softer, weaker, more entitled to your effort? There's a painful possibility. Your so-called kindness is not love. It's enabling weakness. And enabling weakness always leads to one outcome. You become exhausted, and they remain unchanged. The truth is, the lazy must feel hunger. They must feel discomfort. They must feel the natural consequences of their choices. Because human beings only change when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change. And if you keep cushioning every fall, they will never hit the ground hard enough to realize they must walk on their own. By carrying their weight, you're only delaying their awakening. You're standing in the way of life's most powerful teacher, pain. And without pain, there is no growth, no transformation, no true independence. This is why wisdom demands discernment. To help is beautiful, but to help endlessly without boundaries is destruction. You must ask yourself before you help, is this person truly fighting, or are they waiting for me to fight their battles? Because if they are waiting, your energy is not fueling progress, it's feeding avoidance. Remember, your time, your strength, your energy are sacred. Every drop you waste on someone who refuses to rise is a drop you steal from someone who truly needs it. And maybe the one who needs it most is you. So let this truth pierce through. Helping the chronically lazy is not compassion, it's sabotage. It's sabotage to their growth, to your peace, to the balance of life itself. And the day you stop carrying them, yes, they will collapse. But maybe that collapse is the very fire they need to rise. You cannot save someone who refuses to save themselves. You cannot build strength for someone else. At best, you can inspire, you can guide, you can show the way. But the walk, the climb, the battle, that must be theirs. Because in the end, struggle is not the enemy. Struggle is the only path to strength. Chapter 2. The Ungrateful. There are people in this world who can take everything from you, your time, your money, your energy, even your very soul, and still look you in the eye and ask, "Is that all?" These people are not merely ungrateful, they are dangerous. Because to them your kindness is not kindness, your sacrifice is not a gift, your love is not generosity. No, to them it is their right. They believe that what you give is owed to them, and the more you give, the more they demand. Gratitude disappears, entitlement grows, and suddenly you find yourself pouring your entire being into someone who cannot even whisper the words, "Thank you." The tragedy of helping the ungrateful is not just in what you lose, it is in what they never learn. Gratitude is not simply good manners, it is a sacred recognition that every blessing, every gift, every kindness is an act of grace. A grateful person grows richer by acknowledging even the smallest gesture, but the ungrateful? They grow poorer the more they are given. Because the act of receiving without appreciation hardens their soul. They don't see the effort behind your sacrifice. They don't value the sleepless nights, the struggles, the love you poured in. They only see one thing, an endless supply to exploit. You could give them 6 months of rent, pay their bills, feed them when they had nothing, and still they would complain. Complain that the apartment was too small, complain that the food wasn't good enough, complain that life was unfair, while you were sacrificing your own comfort to protect theirs. This is the bottomless pit of ingratitude. It swallows everything. It recognizes nothing. And when your help finally runs out, when your strength finally collapses, do you know what happens? They don't thank you for all you did. They turn on you. They call you selfish. They call you cold. They act as if you betrayed them, when all along it was your sacrifice that kept them alive. Understand this clearly. Helping the ungrateful is like pouring water into sand. No matter how much you pour, it disappears without a trace. No matter how much you give, it will never fill them, and you are left exhausted, empty, questioning your worth. But the truth is, it's not your worth that's lacking. It's theirs. Gratitude is the sign of a soul connected to life, to others, to something larger than itself. The ungrateful live in disconnection. They don't recognize blessings because they see themselves as the center of the universe. And in their universe, you are not a giver. You are just a tool to be used until you break. Think about how dangerous this is. Because when you pour into someone grateful, your gift multiplies, it grows, it builds. Gratitude creates momentum. It inspires more kindness, more connection, more love. But when you pour into the ungrateful, nothing grows, nothing blooms. It is like planting seeds in poisoned soil. You return day after day, watering, nurturing, hoping for fruit, but nothing comes. And one day, you look back and realize all those years of sacrifice were not growth. They were waste. And that waste did not just steal your time, it stole your joy, your faith in people, your belief in love. So why do we keep helping the ungrateful? Because we hope. We hope that maybe one day they will wake up. We hope that our kindness will melt their entitlement. We hope that if we just give a little more, they will finally see, finally appreciate. But hope, when placed in the ungrateful, is a slow poison. It keeps you tied to someone who will never change. It keeps you feeding a pit that will never fill. And while you're waiting for them to change, your life slips away. Your strength fades, your blessings drain. The ungrateful will never be healed by your sacrifice. Here's the brutal reality. The moment you stop giving, the ungrateful will show their true face. They will turn their anger on you. They will accuse you of betrayal. They will try to shame you for stepping away. But remember this, their reaction is not proof of your cruelty. It is proof of their dependency. It reveals the truth that they never saw your kindness as a gift. They saw it as their right, and when their right was taken away, they reacted with rage. And that rage is the final proof you need. You were never appreciated, only used. So what must you do? You must protect your energy. You must reserve your kindness for fertile ground, for people who recognize blessings, for souls that multiply love rather than consume it. Helping the ungrateful will only leave you broken, but helping the grateful will fill you with life. Because gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a mirror. When you give to a grateful heart, it reflects light back into you. But when you give to the ungrateful, it reflects nothing, only emptiness. So choose wisely, remember this forever. A grateful heart multiplies blessings, an ungrateful one drains them dry. Chapter 3. The arrogant. There are people in this world who are not searching for truth. They are searching for validation. They don't want wisdom. They don't want clarity. They don't want the mirror that shows them their flaws. No, what they crave is confirmation of their lies. They want applause for their delusions. The arrogant man does not come to you to learn. He comes to you to be worshipped. His pride is not strength. It is a fragile mask held together by fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of being exposed. Fear of being seen as less than what he pretends to be. Understand this. Arrogance is not confidence. Confidence is built on truth. Arrogance is built on fear. The arrogant live in terror of one thing, that someone, somewhere, will reveal they are not who they claim to be. And so they talk louder, they act prouder. They puff themselves up like hollow balloons, fragile and ready to burst. And when you try to help them, when you offer them wisdom, they reject you, not because your wisdom is wrong, but because your wisdom threatens the mask they cannot afford to lose. They cannot admit they don't know. They cannot say, "Teach me." Their ego will not allow it. Alan Watts once said, "You cannot wake someone who is pretending to sleep." And that is the essence of arrogance. They are not blind. They choose to close their eyes. They are not deaf. They choose not to hear. They are not ignorant. They choose ignorance because truth would shatter their carefully built illusion. And here is the brutal reality. You cannot force open the eyes of someone who insists on staying in the dark. You can shine the brightest light, but if they cover their eyes, it will never matter. And if you keep trying, you will exhaust yourself while they remain blind. The arrogant do not want help. They want worshippers. They want followers who will nod, who will bow, who will echo their lies back to them. And if you dare to challenge them, if you dare to speak truth, they will not just reject you, they will despise you. Because in their world, disagreement is betrayal, correction is humiliation, and truth is their greatest enemy. This is why helping the arrogant is impossible. They do not want to change, they want to be adored. And every attempt you make to help them will only be twisted into an attack on their pride. But here's the wisdom you must carry. Life itself has a way of humbling the arrogant. Pride always meets its downfall. The higher they inflate their ego, the harder they crash when life pierces the bubble. And when they fall, they will finally see what they spent years denying, that they are human, that they are vulnerable, that they do not have all the answers. You cannot break their pride. Only life can. And until that moment comes, your words, your wisdom, your help will always fall on deaf ears. So don't waste your breath on ears that refuse to listen. Think of the arrogant like a fortress built on sand. From the outside it looks tall, strong, unshakable, but every wave of life eats away at its foundation. Slowly, silently, until one day the fortress crumbles in seconds. That is the destiny of arrogance. It cannot last, it cannot survive. And your job is not to hold up their walls. It is to step back and let the waves do what only waves can do. When life finally breaks them, when their pride collapses, only then will they be ready to learn. Only then will they be able to receive what you tried to give. The greatest danger of trying to help the arrogant is not just that they won't listen. It's that they will drain you. They will twist your help into an insult, your advice into an attack, your love into a threat. And in defending their pride, they will wound you, belittle you, and push you away. In trying to save them, you may lose yourself, so protect your energy, protect your peace. Do not hand your wisdom to someone who has already decided they know everything, because in their arrogance they will trample your gift and leave you with nothing but exhaustion. So let them fall, let them fail. Let them face the full consequences of their pride, because life is the only teacher they will respect. And when the fall comes, and it always does, it will break the mask, shatter the illusion, and humble the ego they worshipped for so long. Only then will their eyes open. Only then will they finally see. Until that day, step back. Do not waste your wisdom on arrogance. Save your strength for those who are willing to learn. Because the arrogant do not need more help. They need the silence that allows life to humble them. Chapter 4. The Wicked. Not everyone is misunderstood. Some people are not lost, not confused, not victims of circumstance. No, some people know exactly what they are doing, and still they choose the path of darkness. They lie with precision. They cheat with intention. They manipulate without guilt, and they harm others without the slightest hint of shame. The wicked are not stumbling in ignorance. They are walking boldly in evil, and when you step in to help them, you are not lifting a fallen soul. You are strengthening a predator. You are not saving them. You are partnering with their destruction. Every wisdom tradition across history has carried the same warning: never empower evil. Why? Because evil doesn't need your compassion. Evil doesn't crave your kindness. Evil craves your resources, your energy, your silence, your cooperation. The wicked thrive when others excuse their actions, when others cover their lies, when others clean up their messes. And every time you step in to help them, you become another brick in the foundation of their corruption. You think you're being merciful, but you're giving them fuel for their fire, and that fire will not just consume them, it will eventually consume you. Understand this. Wickedness is not a moment of weakness. It is a lifestyle, a pattern, a choice repeated so many times that it becomes identity. The wicked person has crossed the line from mistakes into habit, from failing into thriving on destruction. They do not harm by accident, they harm by design. They do not lie out of fear, they lie out of convenience, and when caught, they do not repent, they justify. Their heart has been trained to find strength in deception, and every time you help them, every time you shield them from consequence, you reinforce that training and make them even more dangerous. Think about what happens when you protect a liar. They lie more. When you cover for a cheat, they cheat again. When you rescue a manipulator, they manipulate harder. By standing in the gap for the wicked, you don't protect them, you protect their darkness. And when you do that, their destruction becomes your destruction. You carry guilt that was never yours. You bear consequences that were never meant for you. And worst of all, you strengthen the very behavior that is destroying others. This is why helping the wicked is not kindness. It is complicity. You are no longer a savior. You are an accomplice. Some people will tell you, but everyone deserves a second chance. And yes, mercy is powerful. Forgiveness is healing. But the wicked are not stumbling once or twice. They are choosing again and again to betray, to harm, to destroy. Mercy to the wicked becomes a weapon. Forgiveness without discernment becomes a license. And second chances, when wasted repeatedly, do not heal them. They harden them. The truth is this: the wicked do not want to change. They don't want light. They want cover. They want people like you to step in, to take the blame, to carry the punishment, so they can keep feeding their fire. The danger of helping the wicked is that they will always use what you give them against you. Give them money and they'll fund more schemes. Give them trust and they'll sharpen their betrayal. Give them protection and they'll hide behind you while continuing to harm others. They are not grateful for your help. They are empowered by it, and once empowered, they don't transform, they escalate. Evil does not heal with kindness. It multiplies with opportunity. And the more you excuse, the more you tolerate, the more you enable, the more their shadow spreads into your own life. So what do you do when faced with the wicked? You step back, you draw the line, you refuse to empower darkness, even if it means watching them fall hard. Because their fall is not cruelty, it is justice. It is the only mirror strong enough to show them what they've become. And even then, some will not change. But that is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is not to heal those who have chosen destruction. Your responsibility is to protect your own light, your own energy, your own soul from being entangled in their darkness. Remember this forever. Helping the wicked is not compassion, it is collaboration. It is standing shoulder to shoulder with destruction and calling it love. The wicked do not need your help. They need to face the consequences of their choices. And if you do not let them face it, life will drag you down with them. So guard your heart, guard your energy, and guard your kindness, because kindness without discernment is not virtue, it's weakness. And weakness in the face of evil will not only destroy you, it will destroy everything you were trying to protect. Chapter 5. The Fool. The fool is not dumb. Don't confuse them with someone who simply lacks knowledge. No, the fool is stubborn. The fool has knowledge but rejects it. They see the fire, they touch it, they get burned, and the very next day, they touch it again. Over and over they repeat the same cycle, crying each time as if the outcome could ever be different. And here's where the trap lies. Because each time they cry, you rush to their side. You rescue, you comfort, you sacrifice, but did they learn? No, because the fool's curse is not ignorance, it's arrogance against wisdom. The fool is that friend who comes to you in crisis again and again. You've seen it before. Financial chaos, broken relationships, destroyed opportunities. Each time their pain feels fresh, their desperation feels real, and your heart, full of compassion, moves to help. You give advice, you give money, you give your strength. And yet, weeks later, you find them back in the same pit, the same mistakes, the same tears. The fool is a master of recycling misery. They don't grow, they repeat. And every time you save them, you are not helping. You are fueling the cycle of their own stubbornness. Understand this truth. Fools do not lack opportunities to change. Life itself gives them warnings, lessons, wake-up calls. But instead of heeding those lessons, they close their ears, shut their eyes, and walk straight back into the fire. They don't want to learn, because learning would require humility. And humility is the one thing they cannot embrace. So instead, they fall back on excuses, on blame, on victimhood. And here's the brutal irony. When you help them, when you rescue them, you are not teaching them gratitude. You are teaching them that their foolishness always has a safety net. The difference between a wise man and a fool is very simple. A wise man makes mistakes and learns from them. A fool makes mistakes and insists on repeating them. And when you try to pull them out of the consequences, you rob them of the very medicine that could heal them, pain. Pain is the teacher the fool desperately needs, but your rescue blocks the lesson. Your sacrifice becomes their shield against truth. And every time you block the lesson, you doom them to repeat it again. Helping a fool is not compassion. It's a prison sentence for both of you. Think of the fool like a drowning man. You throw them a life preserver, but they refuse to grab it. They thrash, they scream, they splash, but they will not hold on. And if you dive into the water, trying to save them by force, they will drag you down too. The fool is not just destroying themselves, they are dangerous to anyone who tries to rescue them. Because their stubbornness doesn't just keep them from learning, it infects you with exhaustion, disappointment, and despair. And in the end you are left drained while they remain unchanged, still drowning in their own choices. This is why wisdom says, do not interfere with life's lessons. The fool must face the consequences of their own decisions. They must sit in the ashes of their mistakes. They must feel the full weight of their stubbornness, because only when the pain of repeating becomes greater than the pain of changing will they finally consider a different path. And if you keep rescuing them, they will never reach that point. You think you are being merciful, but you are only prolonging their blindness. Sometimes love is not rushing in. It is standing back and allowing reality to teach what words never can. The hardest part about letting a fool go is your heart. You see their potential. You see what they could become. You imagine how much better their life could be if they would only listen, only learn, only change. And so you keep believing that this time will be different. This time they will understand. But history repeats, and the fool drags you through the same storms, the same fires, the same heartbreak, until you finally see the truth. You cannot want someone's growth more than they want it for themselves, and with fools they rarely want it at all. So what must you do? Step back. Not with hatred, not with anger, but with clarity, because the most loving thing you can do for a fool is to let them face themselves. Do not rob them of their struggle. Do not cushion their consequences. Do not shield them from the mirror of life. Let them feel the fire until it burns enough to teach. Let them fall until the ground shatters their pride. Let them drown until they finally realize they must swim. Because in the end, no advice, no money, no rescue will save the fool. Only their own choices will. Chapter 6. The Manipulator. Among all the dangerous people you will meet, the manipulator is the most lethal. Why? Because they don't come with demands or threats. They come with charm, with stories, with emotions so carefully crafted that you don't even realize what's happening. They don't force you to give, they make you want to give. And that is the most dangerous form of control. A manipulator doesn't just take your money, your time, your energy. They hijack your heart and twist it against you. By the time you realize what's happening, you're already trapped in their web, feeding a parasite that thrives on your kindness. Manipulators are experts in human nature. They study you silently. They know your weaknesses, your guilt, your empathy. They know exactly which buttons to press to make you bend. When you hesitate to help, they sigh, they cry, they play the victim so perfectly that saying no feels like cruelty. And when you finally give in, they smile, not with gratitude but with satisfaction. Because to them, kindness is not a gift. It's a weapon they can use again and again. They don't respect your giving, they expect it. And the moment you stop, the mask drops and the true monster shows. The manipulator wears many masks. To one person, they are the victim, the one who has suffered, the one who deserves endless sympathy. To another, they are the hero, the brave one, the strong one, the misunderstood savior. And to you, they are whoever they need to be in order to extract what they want. They twist stories, they bend truth, they create illusions so convincing that even when your instincts whisper, something is wrong, your emotions shout louder, help them. And that's how they trap you, not with chains, but with guilt, with pity, with the false belief that saving them makes you noble. But here's the brutal reality. Helping a manipulator is never help, it's fuel. Every ounce of time, money, or energy you give them does not solve their problems. It strengthens their game. It teaches them that their tactics work. It reassures them that people like you, good, empathetic, kind, will always be available to exploit. And the moment you stop, the moment you break free from their spell, they will turn on you with the same precision they once used to charm you. Overnight, you go from savior to villain, from trusted ally to enemy, because to the manipulator, loyalty is never real, it's leverage. The danger of manipulators is not just what they take, it's what they steal silently. They drain your energy, your peace of mind, your faith in people. They make you question yourself. Am I cruel for saying no? Am I selfish for walking away? They twist your boundaries into sins, your clarity into cruelty, and the more you second-guess yourself, the stronger their control becomes. They don't just rob your wallet, they rob your confidence, your ability to trust your own instincts. And once they have that, you're no longer just helping them, you're enslaved by them. Here's what you must remember. Manipulators are not just liars, they are shapeshifters. If you compare stories with others who know them, you will find contradictions, half-truths, carefully designed performances. They tell one story to your face, another behind your back. They isolate you, confuse you, and before long you feel like you're living inside their reality, not yours. And that's the scariest part. You begin to doubt truth itself. Helping a manipulator is not charity. It's stepping into a theater where every scene is scripted to trap you deeper. And in that theater, the only role you play is the fool who pays for the show. So what is the cure? Brutal clarity, cold distance, a line so firm it cannot be crossed. Because manipulators cannot be reasoned with, cannot be loved into change, cannot be sacrificed into transformation. They only understand one thing: starvation. Cut off their supply and their power withers. And yes, they will rage, they will smear your name. They will cry louder than ever before. But remember this, their reaction is proof you did the right thing, because for the first time, they're not feeding off you. And when a parasite starves, it always screams before it dies. So never mistake your role with a manipulator. You are not their healer. You are not their savior. You are their target. And the only way to win this game is to stop playing. Helping them is not kindness, it's suicide of the soul. The only cure is to walk away completely with no hesitation, no guilt, no explanation. Protect your energy. Guard your kindness. And remember this forever. Not every tear is real. Not every story is truth. And not every plea deserves your help. With manipulators, the most loving act you can ever do for yourself and even for them is to cut them off. Final warning. The people you must release your time, your energy, your very soul, these are not infinite. They are sacred currencies, the most precious treasures you will ever own. And yet, too often, we spend them carelessly. We pour them into people who do not value them, who drain us dry and leave us empty. The truth is brutal but freeing. Not everyone deserves your help. The lazy must feel hunger. The ungrateful must taste loss. The arrogant must be humbled. The wicked must face their own darkness. The fool must choke on the weight of their choices, and the manipulator must starve without your energy. This is not cruelty. This is wisdom. Life itself teaches this law. You cannot carry another person's burden forever. If you keep shielding someone from the consequences of their actions, you are not helping them. You are preventing them from ever growing. Compassion does not mean saying yes to everyone. Compassion means having the clarity to know when to help and when to let go. As Alan Watts said, sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is nothing. Because nothing allows life itself to become the teacher. And life is a teacher far harsher, far wiser than you will ever be. Ask yourself this tonight. Who am I carrying that must walk on their own? You've been lifting people who have legs but refuse to stand. You've been giving food to those who could plant seeds but won't touch the soil. And every time you rescue them, you rob them of the strength they were meant to find within. Love is not endless carrying. Love is showing someone their own power and stepping aside. And sometimes, the greatest love you can give is distance, the space for someone to finally rise without leaning on your back. Now ask, who am I rescuing that must fall? It's hard, isn't it? Watching people you love crash into the ground, watching them make choices you know will hurt them. But you cannot stop every fall. You cannot erase every bruise. Because some lessons cannot be spoken, they must be experienced. If you keep catching them, they will never know the sting of reality. And without the sting, there is no awakening. Falls are painful, yes, but falls are also holy. They break pride, they shatter illusions, and they plant the seeds of wisdom in soil that comfort could never touch. And then the hardest question, who am I helping that is secretly destroying me? This one pierces, because deep down, you already know. You felt the exhaustion, the betrayal, the endless cycle of giving more and receiving less. You've seen the smiles vanish the moment you say no. You felt the poison of entitlement creeping into relationships that once felt pure. Helping someone who drains you is not selflessness, it's self-destruction. And every time you sacrifice yourself for them, you are not saving their soul. You are losing yours. It's time to be honest. Some people are not blessings. They are lessons. Letting go is not easy. It feels cold, it feels cruel. But cruelty is carrying someone so long that you collapse under their weight. Cruelty is keeping someone weak when they were meant to be strong. Cruelty is pretending that love means endless sacrifice when in reality, love sometimes means stepping back. When you let someone go, do it with clarity. Do it with peace. Do it without anger, without resentment. Because this is not revenge. This is wisdom. You are not abandoning them. You are releasing them to the one teacher they cannot ignore, life itself. Remember this always. Real compassion is not saying yes to everyone. Real compassion is discerning where your energy is best invested. When you pour into fertile soil, you see growth. When you pour into barren ground, you see waste. Your kindness is sacred. Don't waste it on those who only consume and never transform. The world doesn't need more exhausted martyrs. The world needs clear souls who know how to love wisely. And wise love does not chase. Wise love does not force. Wise love knows when to close the door and let someone walk their own path, even if that path leads through fire. So tonight, stand in your truth. Release who must be released. Let go of who must fall. Cut off who must be starved of your energy. And watch how your soul begins to breathe again. Because the moment you stop carrying what was never yours, you rise higher than you ever thought possible. Not everyone deserves your help, and that is not cruelty, it is survival. And maybe, just maybe, when you finally step back, they will rise too. But whether they do or not, that is no longer your burden. Your burden is only this: to live wisely, to love wisely, to protect the sacred fire of your soul. If this message woke you up, share it with someone who gives too much and suffers in silence. And comment below, "I choose wisdom over weakness." Because your life changes the day you learn. Not everyone deserves your help.